Yes, so the recording had started. Cool. Okay, so I assume that you haven't gone through it. Okay. So in this first session, we learn about the classes and instances. Firstly, I'll tell you what classes and instances are. Okay, so from here on, we are starting the session. Okay. So first we learn what classes and instances are. Okay, as we are doing in Kotlin, and we use Kotlin for the object-oriented programming. Okay, what is object-oriented programming? In the object-oriented programming, we have classes and objects. Okay, so first we'll learn what classes and objects are, and then we will go to fragments and activities, and then we will cover basic navigation in the application. Okay. So I guess people are still joining. So let's begin. So it's the class is something is quite theoretical. Okay. I don't think I need to share anything. I'll stop it. Yeah. Okay. So what a class is? Does anyone know what a class is in object-oriented programming? I'm just asking this to increase interaction as you guys seem to be silent. If you have any idea, then tell me. Okay, no, this I'm telling what a class is. A class is a blueprint of how the things we are going to make. Okay, so let us assume if you see a car, so how a car is built. Okay, how a car built is a question. So to build something, we need to create a blueprint that this is the pathway that I am going to follow, and this would be the final product which would look like after following the entire path. Okay, so if I need to design a car, so first I'll draw some sketch that how I'm going to do this all, how I'm going to assemble things. Okay, and if I consider some specific, if I go to specific characteristics of it, then it becomes the instance. Okay, so let us assume if you see a car, any car is a class. If you assume every car to be a class, then the car of a particular color or a particular brand or a particular engine capacity is the instance of the class car. Okay, did you guys understand? Let me put it again in a simple manner. Okay, so if we consider cars, let's say which car comes to my mind. Okay, let's see Mercedes. Okay, if we consider Mercedes, okay, every car you can see, you can identify that yes, it is a car. Okay, so when you see Mercedes, yeah, then you'll know, yeah, it is a car. Okay, when we are talking about automobile Mercedes, so it is a car. You, how do you know? You know how a car looks like. Like it has four wheels, it has doors, it has headlights, and it runs. Okay, it has engine, silencer, and stuff like that. Okay, so these are the characteristics from which you identify something that it is a car. Okay, so when you see Mercedes, then you know, yeah, this is a car. Okay, so you know that all cars are not Mercedes, but each Mercedes car is a car. Okay. So when we go about specific features of the car, then it becomes the instance of the class. Okay. If we consider the class to be an car, okay, if we consider the class to be car which has properties like gears, wheels, in this case, wheels will always be for, why did I take that? Okay, in this case, it will be color, engine capacity, and maximum speed and color. Okay, so if we consider these characteristics of a car, so if anything that possesses these characteristics is a class, is an instance of the class. Okay, the class is what? The class is a something which has the following characteristics defined. I'm taking the example of a car to make it easy. Okay, let's assume that we have a class car. So in this class, we define some properties of the car. First is its color, second is its engine capacity, and third is its maximum speed, and the fourth is what time it takes from 0 to 100. Okay, these are the few characteristics of the car. Okay, so anything if I specify about this class, then it would become an instance. Let's say if I create an instance, let's say if I give you a something that has a color blue and maximum speed, let's say 200, and 0 to 100 time is about 1.73 seconds, and engine capacity, let's assume something is specific. If I make all these properties to be a specific, then this thing becomes the instance of the class car. Okay. So do you guys now have some idea about the class and instance? If you still have any doubt, you can definitely ask me or put it forward. I know that I might have missed something. No, I don't think I have missed something. That, but if you have any doubt, you can please unmute yourself and ask me. Do you understand what the difference between car and yeah, 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 yeah?
Screen is not visible.
Can you type it in the chat box? I'm unable to hear you.
Your screen is not visible.
Yeah, our screen is short.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sharing anything. Okay, it is quite theoretical. Okay, so what do you want me to? Do you want me to show you car? Okay, so that's not relevant. I think we can assume it to be visible. As of now, I'll share the screen definitely. Hmm. So, is there anything that I need to clarify regarding class and instance?
Bhaiya, can you please tell this
Hmm.
about
Yeah, yeah. About what? Everything that
the
I.
example you gave? Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay. Listen. When you see vehicles around yourself, okay. Listen. I am trying to abstract the concept of class, okay, via using the example of car, okay. So when you see vehicle around yourself, then you can see a car and identify, yeah, this is a car, okay. So when do you see a car, okay, let's see how do you identify that an object looks like a car, that an object is a car, okay. So first of all, you will see that, yeah, it has four wheels, it has doors, it has windows, it can obviously run, it has silencer, it runs in some speed. Okay, so these are a few characteristics, and like engine capacity, how many cc's it is. So these are the few characteristics of a vehicle from which you can distinguish that, yeah, it is a car. Okay, so if we see two vehicles that have two wheels and the four wheels, so the very first difference that you will see is that the first vehicle contains two wheels and the second one contains four wheels. The second one contains four wheels, and already you have something in mind that if a vehicle contains four wheels, then it is a type of car. Okay, so this is something how you identify it is a car is. Okay, so if we define a class which is car, if we define a car class, then we are specifying some specific features of it, like what specific characteristics a car has. It has 0 to top max speed, it has engine capacity, it has color, and it has wheels. Okay, so these are the few characteristics of a class car. Okay, but when I specify each of its property, like what I mean by property is that its color, its engine capacity of how many cc's it is 0 to top 100 time taken, and the maximum speed. If I specify each of the characteristics of this particular class car, then the result which I'll get is would be the instance of the class of the car's class. Okay, like if we have a class, it has few characteristics defined. So what does this few characteristics mean? That few characteristics mean that how our final object would look like. Okay, so if I want to create a car, then if I want to create an instance of the class car, then I'll have to specify all of these parameters. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I assume, is there any doubt, or anyone needs some clarification? I'll definitely help them out. Okay. Is it clear or doubt? You can ask me. Okay. So I take it as a no. So now what do we have? Let me see in my list. Okay, now we have objects. Okay, we won't take objects in that depth because we don't need them that much. So what is an object is? So an object is a singleton. Like if you want to use something but want to create only single instance, like if you take color, okay, if you take a color, then obviously I'm assuming that car is of a single color, it is of only black color, okay. So whenever I apply the color, okay, I'll use the same or I will always use the same object, okay. I'll always access it from the same object. Like I'll create an object color, okay, and whenever I need it to paint the car, I'll use that same instance. So what is the advantage of creating an object? The advantage of creating an object is that you can use the same instance multiple times without having to use the without having to create a new instance. Okay, so whenever how many times, no matter how many times I create an instance, so all the instances differ, they are not always same. If I create two instances of the same class, then both of them will be different. Okay. So if I create an instance of color blue, or no, I took black, I remember. Yeah. If I create an instance of color black, so if I create instances of color black, then they would be different. Okay. They won't look different visually, but when you will log them, then you will see what the difference is as it displays some number around it. Okay, so from which you can identify the instances are same or not. Okay, so in the case of color, we need the same color to paint the entire car. So if we use multiple instances, then it would it won't be good because we don't need to create so much mess. Okay, it is very easy to paint the car with that single color only. Okay, so anything that we need to use the same instance in the entire process is something which we use via an object. Okay, an object is something which we create when we want to use the same specific instance multiple times in the process. Okay, an object is also sort of an instance. Okay. So this is all about class. This is not all about. This is the basic and high level knowledge of how classes, instances, and objects look like in an object-oriented language. Okay, so it would be possible that you guys don't might not have got it. So I'll send you some documentation from which you can read it. Oracle docs are best. I learned from there. Typoed it. Yeah, and there will be the second link that I just shared in the chat. You need not open it right now. You may open it anytime when you are free. Okay, they provide very good level explanation of classes and instances. Okay, so now we'll move to activities and fragments from which Kush will continue. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me later. Okay. Okay, so Kush, now you can continue your activities and fragments.
Yeah, thanks. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So, does anyone know what an activity is or what a fragment is?
No.
Okay. So, any screen that you see in your app is basically run on activities or fragments. Okay. So, activity is basically the part where the user interacts with your application. Whenever you are creating a new screen, you require an activity. So every time you change a screen, you're making a new activity. Okay. And fragments are basically sub activities. Fragments are inside an activity. So basically wait, I'll just share my screen. 1 second. Okay, is my screen visible? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, we are.
Okay, yeah. So you can even read if you want. An activity basically is whenever you open a screen in your app, that screen is run by an activity. Okay, and a fragment is fragments are used inside activities. Fragments always run inside an activity. A fragment is basically used as as a layout. You can call a fragment a type of a layout where multiple fragments are inside one activity. So so in an activity you can put fragments, and in fragments you can have different layouts. So basically, now like in a fragment, you can you can, like, whenever you're changing fragments, you're not changing your screen, you're changing a layout. That's it. Okay, so do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? An activity is, whenever you change an activity, you're changing a screen. But whenever you're making a fragment, you are changing only the layout. You're not changing the complete screen. On that same screen, you're just changing different layouts. So what is the benefit of a fragment is that a fragment does not require a lot of space. The space utilization is very less. So that's why, so you can utilize your space much better with fragments, as fragments can keep changing different layouts in the same screen. Did you understand? Like, just go through what is written here.
Okay, so let me clarify it that whenever you launch an application, the very first thing you see is an activity. Whenever you click the launcher icon of any application, the first thing that comes in front of you is an activity. Okay, so it is an activity in its core. It might be the fragment that is attached to the activity, but something that is started when an application is turned on is the activity. Whenever you launch an application, then at the very first point, the activity is turned on. Okay, activity is launched, and the activities are usually heavier than the fragments because we can use fragments many times we want. Like, we can change the layout of fragments dynamically. Like, if there is a if we have some screen or button that we want to change it, like if I have a start server button, and if I click on it, it should turn. If I click, listen, if there is a button which has start server written on it, and as soon as you click the button, it starts the server. Okay, so this is something which happens behind the scenes, and as soon as you click the button start server, the server starts, and then the text written on it also changes, like start server changes to stop server, and color of it changes from green to red dynamically. So this is the benefit of using fragments. So you can do this stuff in fragments quite easily. Like in the last session we covered that how to color and write text in the text views and buttons. So that is something which we did from XML. So, but in from fragments, we can change the text and color and the other properties of these views dynamically whenever we want. Okay. So to make these changes, we don't need to write changes in the XML files. We can do it right from the Kotlin file itself. Okay, so these are the usefulness of the fragments. Like, fragments are very modular. You can use them multiple times, just change the layout. And for an activity, whenever you create an activity, you have to create a specific layout for it, and some specific Kotlin class also, which handles the backstack and functionality of it. Whenever you create an activity, you have to write it in your manifest file also. Okay. So activities are heavier on a higher level. So that is why we prefer fragments over activities.
Right, this is a very important topic actually. Okay, so if you'll have any doubts, you can ask. No one has any doubt what an activity is, what a fragment is, why fragments are better than activities?
Bhaiya, so fragments are smaller versions of activity, some kind like that.
Fragments are like a sub activity. They can, like Ayush said, they can be used for making different layouts on the same screen dynamically. So they are not like activities. Activities have their own life cycles, and fragment also have their own life cycles, which I'll be coming to. A fragment runs inside an activity, okay? And a fragment uses very less data, less space. So so fragments may you can show dynamically different layouts on the like simultaneously. But in an activity, you have to show you can only show one screen, one layout. Did you understand?
अच्छा अच्छा got it भैया. Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
let me
So
make it
have you
more clear.
can I say one comment? Have you all
Okay.
seen the websites in which you click something, the content of the pages does not change. The content of the pages changes, but the link does not change. Have you all observed that thing?
Yes, bhai.
Yes.
Okay. So what happens over there? You are just changing the contents, whereas the URL is remaining the same. Think it in that way only. Like you have something in the background, but you are not changing the element in the background, but what you are seeing in the front, that is getting changed. That's what fragment is. Okay, so what is that? You are not once again reloading your page to get some data. Instead, you are staying in that same page and just fetching some data from your server and throwing it to it. So what is that? That is actually reducing the amount of uses of your device. Here in the apps, it is the amount of RAM that your device uses. So that's what fragment and activity is. You can relate it like that. Relate it to that website. Hey,
Oh,
I hope you should have understood now.
you can look
Yes.
up on it also.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll move to the life cycles. So now, whenever you start an activity, basically three things are called when you start an activity. Okay, this is the complete life cycle of an activity. First, on create, on start, and on resume are called uh, as soon as you create an activity. So on create, you have to actually write code for it. So when you're creating a new activity in your Android Studio, that time basically the activity will already have an on create view where there will be an on create method called. Okay, so this is used for creating the activity, and then automatically when you run your application and the screen comes up, on create, on start, and on resume. The on start will be used to start the activity, and on resume will be called. Okay, this is all called before your activity is actually seen on your screen. Okay, then your activity will be starting to run. Your activity will be running, and as soon as you, just before you're leaving your activity, going to another activity or anything else, on pause will be called. On pause will be called, which will be followed with by on stop, where it will stop the activity, and then on destroy, it will destroy the activity and the activity is shut down. Okay, but now suppose that you are on a certain activity and you are going to another activity. So and then when once you are on another activity and you are coming back to the previous activity again, then it will go to on restart. Okay, from on stop, if the activity is not destroyed until it's actually removed. Okay, it is still running on the background if you are on the same app. Until you're not out of the app, the activity is not yet destroyed, it's just stopped. So if you come back to the same activity again, it will go to on restart, the activity will restart, then it will go to on start and again on resume, and the activity will again start running. This is the basic life cycle of any activity. All right, but now there are even like you can implement different things using these methods. Like once an activity is resumed, if you want to like show a different color in the background, or if you want to change the the running of something, then maybe on resume, on resume you can write some code where, so that whenever the activity is resumed, that whatever function you want to, whatever thing you want to implement is done. So like that you can use these methods to change whatever you want to do during these activity life cycles. All right. So and then there's a fragment life cycle. Okay, as I've told you, a fragment runs inside an activity. So first, when you're making a fragment, you need to attach it to a certain activity. So that's where on attach comes in the picture. you use on attach, you attach it to a certain activity. So now the fragment will be running inside the activity only, whichever activity you have attached to it. Then on create will create the activity, create the fragment, and then again like on start, on resume will continue until the fragment. This will happen on itself. Okay, the only thing which you have to code is on create. The rest it occurs by itself. So on start, on resume will occur, then the fragment will become active. Okay, so now once the fragment is active, you can now navigate around it. You can use whatever is there, all the layouts, the buttons. Then once you get out of the fragment, then again on pause, on stop, on destroy, all these things will occur like a activity itself. Okay, so every fragment has its. Okay, so before the fragment, after the fragment is destroyed, the activity it's still inside the activity. Okay, so if you go to another fragment inside the same activity, the activity is not yet destroyed, only the fragment is destroyed. So then you can then you go to the other fragment, and you can come back. You can move between fragments in the same activity until you come out of this activity, and the activity is destroyed. The activity is still active. Okay, so did you understand like how a fragment works inside an activity, and how the activity has its own life cycle, and the fragment runs inside the activity? Did you get it? Any questions?
Bhaiya, what is the difference between on create and on create view? Like, what's the difference between those two?
On create and on create view.
Yes.
Okay, see, I'll show you. So on create view is for basically for fragments, and on create is for an activity. Okay, so when you are using fragments, you need to implement on create view. So that will create a view of the fragment inside the activity. When you are using on create, it's just creating an activity. On create view is used for creating a fragment inside an activity. Okay,
Okay.
and here you can even read about what they have written, whatever they have written. On start, on resume, on destroy. So any other doubts? Okay, then just go through it. And once you're done, just let me know if you have any doubts, or I'll continue ahead.
Okay, so just like a cocoon have a life cycle, the similar to that, the Android components also have a life cycle. Okay, so on the very first see that these things might see somewhat overwhelming to you, but it isn't that overwhelming. Okay, so these all the functions that Kush told you right now is something that happens automatically. Okay, so even if you don't write code for them, these are the functions that get executed themselves. Okay, but why do we need to modify those functions? Because we want to show some custom layout to the user. Okay, like if I'm creating a login fragment. Okay, so I'll be creating I'll be showing the UI or the XML file which has the layout for the login screen. Okay, so this is the reason that why I need to override the onCreate view method of the fragment. Okay, so in the onCreate view, I specify that what layout I am going to show to the user on the screen. Okay, so whenever an activity or a fragment is created, these are the functions that are called. Okay, so what is meant by on pause? So on pause is meant to whenever you click the home button, like you are browsing some application and you press the home button. As soon as you press the home button, the application goes in the go to the background, and all the activities are and the fragments are set to the on pause. Okay, so they are paused. So what it means by on pause? So it means that if you want to keep the resources to be consumed while the application is paused, okay. So in the on pause method, you describe that what you will do when the application goes in the background. Okay, so in on pause you write like that I'll suspend my internet calls and I'll stop my networking activities and stop making UI changes. Stop means like for a while. Okay, I won't be doing that for a long time. I'll stop it. I'll pause it until it comes back to the screen, and when it comes back to the focus, when it takes focus again, like what is meant by taking focus? It means that from the multiple screens view, you bring back the same application, like from the state you left it, and in that condition your code from the on resume method would be called. Okay, so in the on resume, what you'll write? So you'll write that I'll now make the not all the networking calls that I need, but the ones which are necessary for the application to perform in a way that it doesn't create or impart a poor user experience. Okay, so like it is not like that you enforce all the networking calls and all the layout changes as soon as on resume is called. Like in on resume, you do light operations, not that much heavy. Okay, and what is stop? Stop is like when it is stopped, and what is on destroy? On destroy is like when an application is swiped up from the multiple screens view or application is exited. Okay, so is the life cycle now clear? Like these methods were quite threatening or seemed tough enough? Can anyone just confirm? Okay, no one wants to confirm. No worries.
So you don't need to actually code all of this, okay? We don't, mainly the coding is only of on create view, on create and on create view. The rest only in certain scenarios, if you want to change something like he said, on pause when you go out of the app, that time you can call it for doing some action, some certain things at that time. Otherwise, on create is the only thing that you code. The rest is on its own, it takes place. Okay. If you have any doubts, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll move ahead.
What is the difference between on stop and on destroy? I didn't understand.
On stop just is called when you move from one activity to another activity. Okay, so it stops this activity as it's no longer visible, and it goes to another activity. Okay, but on stop, on destroy means you're destroying the activity. It is not even it's not even running in the background. Okay, in on stop the activity might be running in the background as well, and when you are going to another activity, but once the activity is destroyed, then nothing, it is out of the stack. Okay, it cannot be it's not going to start until you again start the activity. Okay, on non-stop you can the activity just stopped for now. Did you understand?
Yes, Bhaiya, understood.
And
Okay,
by
so
on pause and on stop also are kind of same, right?
yeah, they are kind of similar, only on pause and on stop. Just on pause is like you said, if you press the what do you call, the center, the
Home
home
button.
button, that time the on pause is called when you go. So because it's still on the background, the activity is still in the app, but you are not on the app right now, so it's on pause. It's just pause the activity, you can't stop the activity at that time. So at that time on pause you can change some things like what you want to do if you're pressing the home button, but otherwise in normal it is there, it's similar, only on pause and on stop.
Okay, bro.
Okay,
uh,
okay. The difference between on stop and on destroy is no, what you're asking that on pause and on stop. The difference between on pause and on stop is that when the on stop is called when the focus diverts from one fragment to the another fragment or one activity to the another activity. Like consider it as a set of multiple activities and fragments that you have login screen, sign up screen, and hello screen. Okay, what is hello screen? It is something which tells you about the introduction of the app and how to use it. Okay, so when you launch the application, first of all, hello screen is showed. Okay, let us assume they have hello screen implemented, so they show the hello screen, and then it shows you the sign up screen. So when sign up fragment is into action, then you see it methods. Okay, until now, till this point, we haven't created the login fragment. Okay, so when user clicks the login button, the login fragment comes into the screen, that it takes the focus of the screen, and the sign up fragment is paused. No, it's not paused, it's stopped. Okay, so this, when the focus diverts from one activity or one fragment to the another one, then the first one is stopped and the on stop function is called. Okay, and it is paused when the application is sent to the background. Okay, is it clear now? I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll move to the the code labs. So one second. You all have the link to this, right? Uh, One second. I'll just share the link. Unit one. Right. So click on this link and we'll go to navigation right now. Okay. We are going to be learning about navigation. Once
Yeah,
you're
you can go from your study jams link also. Okay, they are
yeah,
same. Okay, they lead
it's
you
the same.
for going there from the study jams link. You have to choose the second path, like second track, which is of the prior programming experience. Okay, and you are not supposed to select the Kotlin course. Okay, there they'll be teaching you about Kotlin. Okay, so select the second one, second track, and the Android fundamentals course in it. And it is inside the, I think, unit one of track two.
So just go into navigation after that. And once you're here, just tell me. So and then go into create a fragment code lab. Take code lab. Once you're here, just tell me.
Are you guys having any problem in navigating to that particular link or finding the code lab on which Kush is? Okay, no worries. I'll show you it on my screen. Okay, Kush, can you show or should I share the screen?
Okay, wait, I'll just show. From the
Okay.
study jams link.
Yeah, which Devag has put. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
based in the browser.
yeah, so just go to the study jams link. Okay, then you have to go to prior programming experience, start course. Okay, once you go on start course, then there will be unit 1, unit 2. You have to go on unit 1. Once you're on unit 1, then there will be a lot of things: build your first app, build an interactive app, layouts, navigation. We have to go on navigation. Okay, and then once you're on navigation, there will be create a fragment, the first code lab which we are going to take. So take code lab and you will reach here. So if you have any problem to reach here, then just see what I just did. If you are there, then I can continue. Just tell me once you reach here.
Okay, so is there someone who has not reached the language page, the landing page? Okay, I see people have reached there. So, but is there someone who hasn't reached there? They can definitely ask.
Yeah, if someone's not there, then they'll not follow. So just tell.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'll continue. So, okay, in this code lab, we are going to create a fragment, which I've already discussed what a fragment is. So, this is just the welcome page. We can go next. App overview. Okay, yeah. So, we are going to be making a game app, which is called Android Trivia. Here you can see some photos of it. The Android Trivia app illustrates navigation patterns and controls. In the title screen shown on the left. Okay, you can just read through this. There's nothing much. They're just showing. In the previous session, somebody had asked me about the navigation drawer, the 3 lines thing. If you want, then I will just show you. Like when you open a new project on Android Studio, okay, so here only there's an option for a navigation drawer activity project template. So once you click on this, that comes on its own, that 3 lines with a navigation drawer. Okay, somebody was asking in the last session, that's why I'm just telling you. Anyway, yeah, so you can click on next. Okay, so now you need to download the Android Trivia Starter Android Studio project. So just click on this link.
Okay, you need not download it right now. Okay, for now you can just follow what Kush is saying, but keep track of what you need to download. Okay, here we'll be telling you that what
Do
the
you want to
code
show
is.
them how to clone the thing?
Oh, okay, yeah. If you want to show them cloning, then they can do it. Okay.
So I think you should just show it because in mine it was not working. I'll just stop sharing. Just show them how to clone an application so that they can do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just do that in a sec. Let us see. Have you all reached the GitHub repository from where you need to clone? Cloning is not.
Yes, we are.
Okay, I assume that you all have GitHub account. Okay, so I think the screen would be visible in a few seconds. Yeah, I assume. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here I'll search where is Android Trivia. Yeah, here it is. So I'll clone this repo. I'll click on code and then I'll copy it. Okay. So I am using the SSH protocol to copy, and you should use HTTPS if you haven't configured an SSH key to your repository. I'll just copy this link by clicking this and open a terminal and then clone it. You can select a download zip also. I think my machine has slowed down. Oh yeah, here is my terminal. Okay, so for you, you will be doing this in Git Bash. Okay, so let's see where I'm currently. I'm here. I'll list the contents. Okay, so I'll go to my desktop and see where I have this. Okay, I'll go to my repository. I go to the folder where I experiment and put stuff. So I'm in this folder. So here I list the contents. I'll clear it and I'll use git clone. Okay, git clone and then the URL here. Okay, and then I'll just hit enter. and it will be downloaded in a sec. Okay, so it would be cloned in a while, and then you can just go there. Yeah, you can see that it is seeing objects cloning.
So basically, it will be downloading that whole package on your desktop or laptop, and then from there you can open the project on Android Studio. Okay.
Hmm. It will take some time to download, and then you can definitely navigate to this package there, Android Trivia Starter.
Okay. So
Okay, if you don't want to do this, you can directly download zip. I assume that they have, yeah, they have it here. You can download it from here also. They both are indeed same. Okay, so this is how cloning would look like. Yes, to clone the repository, you just need to write git clone and the URL of the repository which you want to clone. Okay, and then it will be downloaded in the folder where you specify. Okay, I think Kush can
Yeah, I
continue
have
now.
downloaded it zip file and then extracted it. What can I do next?
Yeah, okay, then it is fine. You are just supposed to operate in the Android Studio. Okay. When you will extract it, then you will open it in Android Studio from the folder. Like there we have an option. Okay, let me show you how to open a project from a studio. So where is studio? Yeah, here it is. So you will just go to file, and then here will be the option to select the new project, and then you can do it. You'll go to your file and click it. So you can do it. Okay, now Kush will tell you about it.
yeah, 1 second. Okay. So we were on no. Yeah, we were here. So once you open it on Android Studio, you will be able to see all of these fragments and activities that are already made for you. Okay. So yeah, next. Okay, now this is the task. We are going to be adding a new fragment in our project. So a fragment behaves a portion of a user. Okay, I've already told you what a fragment is. They have their own life cycles, receive its own input events. You can add or remove a fragment while the activity is running, defined in a Kotlin class. Okay. So now you will create a blank title fragment class. Okay. So how will you do that? You will go on Android Studio. You will select file, new fragment blank. Okay, this will be there. You can just check it out if your Android Studio is open. For the fragment name, you can enter whatever title fragment layout name, and source language will be Kotlin, and you click finish and you will make a new fragment. Okay, now it will the fragment that you already make will already create an onCreateView method. Okay, which is the methods in the fragment lifecycle which I already showed. So now this is the code of the onCreateView method. Okay, this there will be some code inside it. Just delete the code. And okay, so I'll tell you what this function is. Override function on create view. This is to create the fragment. It has an inflator which will inflate the layout, whatever layout is there. The XML layout that we already taught you in the last session. That layout you have to relate a layout to every fragment as you do with an activity also. So this layout inflator is used to inflate that layout. Then there will be a container view group. This is the container where your fragment is contained, and saved instance state bundle. Okay, you don't need to know about saved instance state right now. Okay, so inside the onCreate view, what will you do is, yeah, you will use data binding util dot inflate. What is data binding util? Wait, I'll just show you. See, data binding util is a utility class, okay, for layouts, where you can basically you can inflate any layout inside, okay, from using data binding util. So these are all the functions that it has. We'll use inflate, which will inflate a binding layout and return the newly created layout, newly created binding for that layout. So over here, as you see, val binding, val we have already told you, it's used for declaring variables. Binding, data binding util dot inflate. This is the class. Data binding util is a class where dot inflate is its method for inflating a fragment. Okay, and then you pass in and the inflator, the fragment which you want to inflate, and the layout of the fragment that you want to inflate, and the container. And false is, I think, yeah, false is just I don't remember what false is for, but yeah, you keep it false. And then return binding dot root will return the binding variable, and this will inflate the fragment. Okay, so this is how you create and inflate a fragment for any when you open any project. When you make any fragment, you need to inflate its layout. So for that we use data binding util dot inflate. Any questions on this?
Okay, that false is to set the value of the attribute which is attached to root. Okay, the attached to root means that if you want to attach this fragment layout, this layout to the root view, okay, so you will set it as false right now, because when the application you can, the most of the times you already specify with the which layout you are going to have in root, which is what is root layout. Root layout is something the container view which contains all the views all my fragments and that all my fragments and all the layout views are going to be connected to this particular view. So that is something which we call root view. Okay, so since we already have some navigation pattern defined inside the application which we have cloned, and most of the times we always have that navigation pattern defined, and the root view is also defined, so we don't so we always and most of the times set the attached to root attribute to the false. Okay, is it clear? Okay, do you understand understand about what the attached to root means? It means just attaching it to the root. Okay, like all your new fragments and layouts and views would be attached to this particular layout only. Okay, this is something which attached to root means. Okay, is there any confusion or clarification you can ask? You guys are silent. You can ask.
Ask questions if you don't understand. Otherwise we'll have to
Yeah,
assume that you understood.
I'm trying to make it as interactive as possible. Like we already have very less interactions. We haven't met each other. Like if you were in calls, then the things would have been entirely different, and we could come to you and ask. Like in the institute, we hold these sessions in the classrooms themselves, and students sit there. So when someone teaches and there are 4 to 5 people in the session, and there are the students as well, so 4 or 5 instructors like from us, and from us we go to the students who are sitting on the benches and ask them if they are facing any trouble. Okay, so here we can't do that, we are unable to do that, so that is why we are asking you multiple times.
Come on.
You can definitely ask. Okay, it's cool if there is no doubt.
Okay, so then this is how you will create a new fragment and you will attach its layout. Then add the new fragment to the main layout file. Yeah, so here you are making the layout in the XML. So here you'll see the linear layout as we discussed last time. Its width and height, orientation is vertical, and we adding a fragment over here. Okay, we give an ID to the fragment because we'll need it later. and the name of the fragment is over here. This basically defines the fragment. Okay, so which fragment you want to attach to this XML, that you have to mention over here. com.example.android.navigation. This is just basically how in your directory, how you are going to, I mean, like where it is stored. Like it's stored inside com.example.android.navigation.title fragment. Okay, and then layout and web. So this is how it will look like. The fragment will come inside this activity. There will be an activity. Okay, this is uh, the XML of that activity, which will contain this fragment, which we have mentioned down here. So that fragment comes inside the activity, and it's a linear layout, and that's how the screen is seen now. Okay, did you understand how? So this fragment comes inside this layout, which is of an activity. That's how it is inside the activity, and then you mention it using this its source, where it is in your project, and that's how the fragment is shown over here. Any doubt? Okay, so then go to next. Use the solution code. So in summary, in this code lab, we added a fragment to the Android trivia app, and this a fragment is a modular section of an activity we learned. A fragment has its own life cycle. We learned using the fragment tag to define the layout of the fragment. Yeah, we use the fragment tag which defined the fragment inside the XML, and we inflated the layout using inside the onCreateView method, and you can add or remove a fragment while the activity is running. Okay, so we learned all of this. To learn more, here there are links given for Udacity courses and developer documentation. You can go through it later. Okay, this is your homework where you need to answer these questions. So you can do it at home only. And that's it. The code lab is done. So if you have any doubt about how to create a fragment, you can ask me. Otherwise, Ayush will take over from here now. Any doubts? Okay, Ayush, go ahead with navigation.
Are you guys following the code lab? I doubt it because I don't see anyone asking any questions. Okay. Do you have any doubt you can ask, or else I'll start the next one, which is navigation. So, do you guys understand why fragments are better than activities and why we are preferring fragments? Can anyone answer that? Okay, so I take it as a no, as usual. Okay, so
They use
yeah,
less data.
we can say sort of they give better performance. Okay, so activities are quite heavier than fragments. Like in activities we can't connect an activity to an activity. We can always navigate from an activity to the another one, but we can't create an host activity and connect many other activities to it. Okay, but with the fragments we have this case. We can connect multiple fragments or any number of fragments to a single activity itself, and navigating from activity to a fragment, we won't even need it. Okay, because since we have all the fragments connected to an activity, so as soon as the activity would be launched, I will all of the first time I'll show the first fragment, and then navigation from fragment to fragment is very easy. It has very less RAM consumption and quite fast also. Okay, so this is why fragments are better. And also I have told you many times that fragments are modular and you can reuse their views and layouts anywhere you want. Unlike activities, they are always attached due to some strict lifecycle issues and destroy and creation methods. Destroy and creation methods are also in fragments, but they are not that strict as activities are. Yeah, so fragments are quite easier to use, and therefore, when the old projects were made, like they used most of the times activities. There were so many activities and lesser fragments because people didn't know about fragments. And in the few past years, the fragments have been so much developed. So nowadays, everyone prefers and officially recommended by Google is the single activity architecture, in which we try to keep as least as activities as possible and to connect as many fragments to them as possible. Okay, so connecting fragments to an activity increase the performance of the app and less RAM consumption and a lot of stuff which is related to navigation and user experience. Okay, so let's come to the navigation section. Okay, how to navigate in the application. Is my screen visible? I was in the second code lab. You can always reach it from here. Okay. Yeah, from here you can come to this code lab define navigation path and click it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so we will be using Jetpack navigation or the Jetpack navigation. Jetpack is an advanced library which we use for navigation and data transfer in the application. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to use the same trivia application. So what we'll be doing is that we have, so here is a play button. So when you click the play button, you will get some questions. So each time you click the play or submit button, you will be taken to the news fragment. Okay, so you need to add navigation, you need to implement, you need to add some dependencies. What is a dependency? So dependency is something that whenever you use some library, that whenever you want to use some specific methods of a library, you will need to install, you will need to add dependencies for the particular library in the Gradle file. So what a Gradle file is, where you declare which Android versions you are targeting, which libraries you are going to use in the application, and the signing configs. Okay, so that is the production part. We don't need to learn about signing and stuff like that. Okay, so but in Gradle files we add the dependencies and the version of the application. Okay, so we'll add this to the Gradle file, build.gradle. Okay, so you can see that there are two Gradle files, like one is for the application module and one is for the top module. Like here you can see, here I have Gradle scripts there. Okay, I hope you can see where this is. You can see my cursor. Okay, yeah, so these are the Gradle scripts. Okay, so this is a multi-modular project, so it would look quite overusing, and it has a bunch of files. I have collapsed all the folders. So I've been recently working on a Zim reader application. What is Zim is? Zim is like a Wikipedia article. Okay, so so you can see here modules, like there is the module app and here is the module core and here is the module custom. So what it means that in this entire project we have three things. So there are three modules, like one is custom module, second is core, and the third one is app module. Okay, so the core module is in the core module we are using the classes that are common to all the applications. Like in this project, we are creating two applications right from the single project. Okay, so that is why we have one custom and one app. Okay, so one custom module we have and another one we have app module. Okay, so since I want to create multiple applications, so I don't want to rewrite the code again and again, and that is why the code common to them I have written in the core module. Okay, so this is core module where I have most of the code written. Okay, so here you can see I have downloader, reader, search, okay, manager. Okay, so for each module I have a pair of Gradle files. Like for the app I would have two Gradle files, like this is one and one more. This is and this one at the top one project level. Okay, so there are two files at the project level and at the module level. So this is the module level. So if I want to see what dependencies I am using, so I'll go to this file and see what I am using. Okay, so I'll be adding my dependencies here. So So this is pretty much this with this. Okay, so here you can see the Gradle file. Yeah, you can see I am using the Kotlin plugin. To use Kotlin, you have to use the plugin like what it happens that whenever you hit this run button, so this is the build button. Okay, this is not run, this is build button, and this is the Gradle sync button. Okay, so what happens when, so this one which looks like somewhat elephant. Okay, so what it does that this Gradle build button, it syncs the Gradle files and it downloads the required dependencies. So here you can see that I have these dependencies here. Okay, here you cannot see a bunch of dependencies because I am using the shared dependencies in the core one. Okay, so here you can see that I am using these dependencies like it could be, it is for database processing, and here you can see where these are defined. Okay, I'll see if I can open that core module. Yeah, it also has those lifecycle extensions that, yeah, you can see that object was is a library that is used for persisting data. Okay, like for caching. Okay, so here you are supposed to add those dependencies which are mentioned here. Yeah, this one, implementation, and followed by a string. Okay, so yeah, here you can see that in implementation I've written a value instead of a string. So what I have done is to make the project clean and good looking, I will define all the strings related to the dependencies at a particular folder and in a particular file which lies inside a folder. Okay, here you can see that I have so many dependencies like this is dagger is used for injection, this is for navigation, KTX navigation, this is the support for Kotlin, and this is SafeHux plugin. So here I have all the dependencies that I am using. Okay, this is Kotlin plugin for JDK7, and this is JetBrains plugin, this is annotation handling, and this is Dagger compiler. Okay, so here you can see that I have all the libraries which I am using. Here I have mentioned all of them, and which I am going to use. I have implemented them in the Gradle file. Okay, this is of app level. Okay, here you can see this is module level. You can see here app written after it. Okay, so here you add this, and before you will have to add this in the module level. Like it is not module, it is you will have to add this to the project level Gradle file also. You'll have to write it in the project level and this in the module level build.gradle file. You can see here what is module level Gradle file. Okay, so here you will add these dependencies and then hit the sync button. So when you will click the sync button, what it will do, the compiler would see what dependencies you are using. So if it isn't able to find the dependencies or the libraries which you are going to use in the project itself, so it will download it from the internet, and here at the bottom you will see that it is downloading some stuff. Okay, so this is how you add dependencies to your project. So after adding the dependencies, let's move ahead. Yeah, I'll just close it. Yeah, so yeah, and next one is the navigation graph. Okay, are you able to follow along now? Do you understand what a Gradle file is? What is the function of Gradle file? Can anyone tell me a higher level view of what I told? What is a Gradle file? It would be nicer if anyone can answer it. Does anyone want to give it a try? There's nothing like right or wrong answer. Okay. Can anyone tell me? Is there anyone in the meeting or everyone is left? I think there are some people. Can anyone just tell what a Gradle file is? Say it. Gradle file is the file where we define all the dependencies or the libraries that we are going to use in the project. Okay, this is everything about Gradle file you need to know. So in order to implement navigation in the project, I have to create some graph and the starting destination for it. Okay, so here is how we can create new navigation graph. Okay, so I'll tell you in my project. here we have it. I close this, and yeah, you can see that I'm in the app module. So I want to see the navigation graph of the app module, which is here. Okay. So I'll go. So there are some specific folders where specific files are found. Like in the last session, we told you that to store the drawables, we specifically go inside the res folder and then inside the drawable. Here we have, and here we have the XML files. Like here I have added XML files because XML files are way smaller than the PNG files. Okay. So here I have drawables inside the specific res inside drawable folder. Okay. And for similarly for the navigation, I will have the navigation graph inside the, look, all the XML files reside inside the res folder like this. Okay, the XML files which we are going to use, res stands for resources. Okay, and we don't name it resources because we usually name the directory resources for the libraries and the files which we are going to use specifically for testing the stuff. But when we are just deploying and developing the application, we just name the folder to be, name the directory to be res, and res is its name by default. So to create a navigation graph, I'll go here, I'll go inside res folder, create a new directory whose name is navigation. Like how can I create a new directory? I'll tell you, just right click it and you will get a list of what you want to do, and then select to create a new directory option. Okay, so here inside navigation, yeah, here you can see I will right clicked it, and here I can see this new option, and I will click and select this directory function, this directory option, not function. Okay, so this is how you can create a new Kotlin class also and navigation class also. So here you can, from here you can create activities also, activities fragments. Okay, from here you can create numerous new things. So from here I'll create a new directory and create a new navigation resource file. Okay, so as soon as I'll do it, so there I'll get the new navigation graph. So as I have a bunch of fragments in the application defined itself, so I'll have to add them from here. So this is from where we want to add new destinations. Okay, so it is now searching how many destinations are available. What is a destination? A destination is a fragment where we want to land. So yeah, so here we can see that all of them are the fragments. You can see each class is a fragment, each layout file is a class and is a fragment, and few of them I have left to be activity. Okay, so when we want to create a navigation graph, so when we want to create a navigation graph, first of all we'll define that what a starting destination is. So in this case the starting destination is this one. So how do we identify starting destination? We can see this home icon here, or we can set its attribute also from here that this is home. Okay, and if I want to navigate, okay, so if I want to navigate from help to, let's say, language, so I will just create this, I'll just click this blue button and the arrow will emerge out of it and I'll add it to here. Okay, language fragment. If I want to go from here to language, like, yeah, this. So this is the action which will take me from help to language fragment. Okay, so I'll just remove it for a while. Okay, and I'll remove this section also. So this means that you want to navigate from here to here. Like if I want to navigate from help to Zimhost, so I'll just create an arrow from here and point it towards Zimhost. Okay, so here till this point a navigation action is created. Okay, so here we wire up all the fragments that we need to navigate from where to where. Like here is a bit complicated.
भैया hello
Here is a help to remove
Ayush,
fragment. Okay. So
Ayush, wait.
yeah,
Somebody has a doubt. हाँ बोल.
yeah.
हाँ मैं कह रहा था भैया ये जो हम एरोस बना रहे हैं बेसिकली, तो हम जिस बटन पे क्लिक करेंगे वो हमें ये बताएगा कि नेक्स्ट किस उस पे जाना है, उसको किस फ्रैगमेंट पे जाना है.
नो नहीं, ये अपन बताएंगे ना उसको कि अपन को किधर से किधर जाना है. जैसे ये
अच्छा.
अपन ने बनाया है, अपन ये arrow देखो, जैसे अपन को हेल्प से बुक मार्क्स पे जाना है, तो अब मैं देख रहा हूँ कि हेल्प मुझको ये दिख रहा है डॉट, तो मैं इस डॉट पे क्लिक करूंगा और इधर से कैरो निकलेगा और बुक मार्क्स को पॉइंट करेगा वो। ओके,
ठीक
जैसे
है।
मैंने अभी जिम होस्ट के लिए करके लिए दिखाया।
ठीक
तो
ठीक
इधर
ठीक
पे
ठीक।
अपन एक्शंस क्रिएट कर रहे हैं।
या
Okay, so yeah, so till this point, these arrows are the actions that which we need to implement. So, but we have just told that yeah, we'll navigate from help to Zimhost, like from here to here. That yeah, we'll navigate from help to Zimhost, but we haven't implemented that navigation so far. So to implement it, we'll just write some code which is given in the code lab. That first we'll find navigation controller and then click the action. So here you can see the action ID also. So it has two parts, that this is the design part and this is the code part. So if I tell you the code part, so here you can see this is code part. So here is the action that from library to reader. So this is the action whose IDs that go from library to reader. So when I want to go from library to reader, so I'll use this action. Okay, so this is a quite higher level how navigation works. I've just told you the concepts how it works and I haven't written any line code, but it is quite easy to understand after you know the concepts how things work. Okay, so now for code we'll go to the code lab and see. So yeah, here we have the create a new nav host fragment. So we will be creating a host fragment, and then first we will be defining, and after it we will be defining the root view, like which is the destination, first initial destination which is going to be displayed. Yeah, this is the nav host fragment, which is the host of all the navigation activities of all the navigation which is going to take place in the application. So this is, so you can just copy code from here. Okay, but yeah, you can copy if you want to, but I'll advise you to write it on your own unless you have some practice, decent practice. Okay, so yeah, you can create the layout from here, and yeah, you can add destination from here, right? The very similar to the way, exactly same as the way which I told you here. Like you just create this plus icon, where it is. Yeah, here you can click this plus icon and then select the destinations available from here. Okay, and then drag them over here. Here means I mean this playground where all other fragments are. Like if I want to add a placeholder, I'll double click it and no, I won't double click. I just simply click it and it would appear, and I'll just drag it somewhere wherever I want its place or position, doesn't matter. I'll add it here. Yeah, that's it for adding destinations. So this is how you can add destinations. Yeah, okay, this is the layout. This is like I told you that how to add a destination, and this sort of code I made you saw in the XML view. I remember it. Yeah, from here we see. Here we saw that this sort of code, like there, they haven't defined any action or something like that. Like this is just a fragment that, yeah, we have some fragment in the XML file. So yeah, I just want to tell you that this is the XML version and this is the design, the visualization version of the same file. That this is the nav graph in the design form, which we can see visually, and this is the code part of it. Okay. Is the code part. Here we have defined from where we want to navigate to where. Okay, so yeah, this is the same way we create an action from going here to there, and to create and then to call the navigation, we have only one button, which is the play button. So we'll just find the button and then set on click listener. What the set and click listener does, it just listens for the click. Like whenever a click is made on a button, so this function is triggered and the code written inside it is called. Okay, so here in the play button we write that okay, what does this binding dot play button means? That the what binding is? Binding is a layout, is the corresponding Kotlin class of the layout which you have made. Like when you create a fragment, you create a Kotlin class and you create a layout class. Okay, the layout class is the XML one. Okay, and when you have data binding enabled in the project and build the project using that hammer icon, so it generates the data binding classes for those layout files. So what those layout files, so what those generated classes are, that they hold the references of the XML views. Like last time we were using find view by ID to refer views, but in the data binding we just refer binding and dot the ID of the button. So and hey, this is how it finds the button, that yeah, this is the button, and select and set listener on it, like set this what it does, that it takes a parameter view. Like a button is also a type of a view. So on a view which we take as parameter, and from the view it is attached to it, from the view, like the view in which it is being displayed, the find the navigation controller. So we find the nav controller on the view, and then we call the navigate, and the navigate we tell from that we want to go from here to the final destination. So this is same as this ID provided here. Okay, so what we have done till now, that we want to navigate from title to game fragment. What is title fragment? Title fragment is the fragment which displays the play button in the Android trivia application. So you just show the button. So you want to navigate from title to game fragment, title screen to game screen on the button is clicked. So what you will do? So first of all, you will just find the view in the hierarchy. So first you will scan the layout of a title fragment, and then find where play button is, and then set a listener on it, and see which in which view it is attached. So I told you that there is a root view from which everything is attached, and since everything is attached to the root view, and in when we initialize this navigation part, we created a navigation host. So from there it is connected, like all the fragments we create are connected to, we have connected already to this nav host. So from here I will pass a view. So from this view it will find the navigation controller, and obviously the nav host fragment has navigation controller. So from this view we'll find the navigation controller, and from the navigation controller we'll navigate. So how we'll navigate? We'll navigate via this action. What does this action mean? So you can click on this action in the Android Studio, and it will show you this, that this action takes you from title fragment to game fragment. And yeah, when you'll click it, the navigation will occur. So this is pretty much about the navigation. And this is conditional navigation. Yeah, you can, this is some logical stuff that which doesn't need any Android knowledge. Okay, like if we won the game, then show the winning screen. If you lost the game, then show that game over, try again screen. Okay, so yeah, here you can see that try again screen, and here you can see right screen on the basis of you won and lose. Okay, so this is quite pretty easy, but it has very similar implementation to the very first one which we done in the previous one, like finding a view where we want to set the listener, and once we have done that, and then we will find, and then we will search the navigation controller. So where we will search the navigation view controller, we will search the navigation controller on the view that is being displayed, and once we find the navigation controller, then we will navigate from here to there by using the action that we created in the navigation resource file. Okay, so that is pretty much. So yeah, this is backstack. So what backstack is that as you navigate from one screen to another screen, so it works like a stack. Like currently you are on screen A, and you move from, and you navigate from screen A to screen B, and then from B to C. So what happens is that when you navigate from A to B, then B comes to the screen, and A goes to the back of the stack. Like it goes behind the scenes, go to the stack. Okay, and when you navigate from B to C, it will go, then B will go to the stack. Like a stack is a data structure in which we keep on adding things from top. Okay, so B would go on top of A, so it would be A, B, and now is C. Now C is being displayed. So current stack consists of A, B, and in the current screen we have C. Okay, so via navigation we can clear the backstack also. Like if we, yeah, like you can see from here, like if I start the game and I pass, and I answer the questions correctly. Okay, and then I should see the congrats screen, which is the winning screen. Okay, so when I am on the winning screen and I'll press the back button, so as of the default navigation, it will take me the destination which is just on the back of the stack. So before the winning fragment, game winning fragment, I have the final question fragment. Okay, so when I press back on the game winning fragment, so it will take me back to the top of the stack, so which is currently the last question. So I don't want to take user from winning fragment to the last question. So I want to show them that like as soon as the game is finished, the stack should be cleared. So it should be like a start game and congratulations. So this should be my stack only if I have won the game. So I just clear the stack as soon as I move from game to game one fragment. So this is pretty much in the next two in this one. Yeah. In this task 7 and this task 8. Yeah. So what? How can we do this? We can do this via pop-up to attribute. So what does pop-up to inclusive does? So this pop-up to does that I am telling that it says to the compiler that I am telling you that pop all the destinations till this point. Like if I am navigate, like if I have a back stack of A, B, and C, like I have A and B and C. There are three different screens, and I am currently on A. So now I navigate from A to B. Okay, listen carefully. Now I navigate from A to B, and then I navigate from B to C. And now see that A is the first startup screen that shows the play button, and B is the screen that shows the question, and C is the screen accordingly we lost or won the game. Let's assume we won the game. So since we won the game, so we want that the last question should not be visible to us. So as soon as I navigate from B to C, I would want that my B is also popped off from the backstack. So what I would do that in the action that I create, I'll add an attribute pop up to inclusive. Where it is? Yeah, here it is. So what does it means? That it means that pop up means to remove from the stack. Pop means removing from top. So it would remove from the stack. So starting destination. So you will tell it from pop up to from here to the final destination from to the final to now you will specify from till where you want to pop. Okay, pop all the destinations, and also you will specify that if you want to is remove the mentioned destination or not. Like C, if we have four screens A, B, C, and D, and I navigate from B to C and then C to D. Now I want that in navigating from C to D, that B and C should be cleaned up. So I would navigate from that. Then I would use pop up to inclusive from B. Okay, I'll use it till B, and I'll set the attribute pop up to inclusive true. Or the pop up to inclusive means that the fragment till which you are popping up all the layouts in the stack want to remain or not. Like there are four layouts till now A, B, C, and D. If you pop up till B, so in the so using the pop up, you will tell that I want to pop up everything till B. Okay, and in the pop up to inclusive, if this is set true, then it will pop B also. Okay, if it is set false, then it won't pop B. So the current stack with pop up inclusive set false would be A, B, and D, and the stack would pop up to inclusive true would pop B also. So the stack would consist of A and D only. It would pop B and C right after navigating from C to D. Okay, so this is pretty much quite easy. You can do it easily if you understood this till now. So you can do it on your own. If you have any doubts, you can ask. That's all about today's session. You can ask.
Did everyone understand?
Actually, I got something. मतलब समझ आया थोड़ा बहुत.
Backstack समझ आया?
Nice.
I understood something about last part. I think we need to practice first.
Yeah, you need to
मुझे यही
practice.
लगता
Okay.
है खुद ही करेंगे तभी होगा.
हाँ, ये खुद ही करना होगा. देखो ये जो पॉप अप टू जो जैकपैक वाला मैंने बताया ना, ये मतलब ये काफी ट्रिकी है. मतलब ये इतना ज्यादा इजी नहीं है, सिंगल ग्राफ में नहीं आता है जब तक तुम लोग अपने इसे खुद को इजी एप्लीकेशन से इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करोगे. जैसे ये टॉय एप्लीकेशन थी,
काफी
प्रीवियस
चीजें
एप्लीकेशन
काफी
वाली.
करनी पड़ेंगी, उसके बाद चीजें आएंगी.
हाँ, जब तुम लोग खुद ही उसको एक्सपेरिमेंट करोगे तब तुम लोगों को थोड़ा फील लगेगी हाँ ऐसे हो रहा है. ये बैक स्टैक काफी इम्पोर्टेंट है. और या दैट इज प्रीटी मच विद द नेविगेशन पार्ट. एंड हाँ, मेरी कुछ स्टूडेंट से बात हुई थी, तो देखो सेशन अब फिनिश हो चुका है. ओके yeah, the session now has finished. So I think I should stop the recording, or do you want to record it now? The means it has just finished. I won't be talking anything
Yes.
technical right now.
Stop recording.
Okay, so right now after it, we will be talking a bit about GSOC. A few students contacted me and we had internal discussions. The students want to know about GSOC more. So do you want to record that section also, or it would be fine if you don't record that? I'm just asking your consent, students.
It's not
Okay,
I just let it. We
I
don't
will
record.
stop recording. Stop recording.
stopped.
okay, okay.